If you haven't heard, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor distributes your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Oh my God. All right. I was trying to say all right. And my voice just, my voice did its thing. Hello. Welcome to episode 22 of growedup, the show where I talk about all things related to adulthood, what I thought my life would be as a child versus what it really is right now that I am an adult. I tend to share the space with friends and colleagues and other people that I do enjoy talking to. And sometimes I don't share it with anyone, and it is just myself and yourself getting to know one another or sharing wisdom. And so this is another solo episode. I am actually working on seeing how I can improve my ability to sit here in front of this microphone and talk to you, but in essence, to myself for a long enough time that I've got solid content for you. But I do enjoy this. It's very therapeutic. I was doing Black Woman Business earlier today. We were recording episode 14. Check it out. And Tuli said that she finds this quite a therapeutic experience. And I do too. And especially when I do hers and I sit here and I listen to what she has to say. And I guess also when I do these solo ones, I'm always nervous to speak because I don't know how concise I can be. I'm not a very good preparer. And this is not a good thing for a podcast because, I don't know. What is a good thing for a podcast? Should we start there? Maybe not. I don't know. But what I know is that I need to write down stuff. I need to prepare scripts or concepts or something. Put something concise so that I have a roadmap. But I've never been good at this, ever, in my entire life. Ever. With songwriting, I would always write the songs in my head. I've never put them on paper. And over time, I'd forget the song and maybe just remember the chorus. So I've always had this bad habit of not writing things down. But, I mean, I'll grow into it. I wrote some notes. One sentence as notes. I am recording late again. Let me tell you what time it is right now. In South Africa, it is 1:45 a.m. So it's 0:44, midnight 24, 12:44. However you want to say it. I made myself a cup of tea. Why am I up at this hour and not done by now? By now I should actually be sleeping. This thing should be ready to upload and go off in the morning. But no, it is not. I'm recording it right now and it will go off in the morning. But it's not because I had a hectic day today. I had a very interestingly busy day. You know, lemon tea kind of makes your mouth watery. But anyways, I had a busy day today, so I kind of didn't get time to a silent time to record until right now. But anyways, today I wanna touch on something, and I guess it falls into all this ramble that I've been doing up until now. I wanna talk about self-accountability, right? And you'd wonder, like, why Why so serious? Why so serious, Fernando? Why? I'll tell you why. Because I'm experiencing a lot of a lot of people around me who do not have the courage to be self accountable. And I'll try and keep this a surface level, but okay, no, I'm not gonna keep it surface. But there's some facets about this that I'm going to keep surface level, and I'm not ready to necessarily dive deep into it, but I'll just touch on the surface, and maybe in the future I'll be ready to openly express deeper. But today I'll just talk more for context sake. And when I get to this point, I will make a note that this is the surface topic. This is the thing that I will be scratching the surface off on, about, two of which. But self accountability, what is self accountability? And my understanding of self accountability is the ability of oneself to acknowledge their responsibility in their failures as well as their successes, acknowledge their part or whatever role they might have played in these scenarios, right? So if you succeed in something, where did you go right? What did you do that made this thing a success? Be and hold yourself accountable for that. You know, I know accountability is commonly used as a way to hold yourself for self reflection, a sense of improvement, right? But I put it on both sides of the positive and the negative. When you succeed and you had a role and you had a part to play with it, what was your part? That what were you accountable for in this process? And the same applies to your failures, okay? What were you accountable for in this process? And what self accountability for me helped was it helped me to really make peace with a lot of things. To make peace with a lot of things. I know for a lot of people, Liz, it makes you more disciplined or it makes you more focused, whatever. I didn't necessarily become more focused. I didn't necessarily become more productive when I started adopting this concept of being self accountable. But I became very aware of my position and very aware of why I'm in the position that I'm at, because it told me a lot about the efforts that I put into something or the efforts that I did not put into something. And I want to kind of take you all back to my journey with getting to this point. And mind you, I'm not necessarily a guru at this, but I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I understand this facet of myself. And I am able to, for as hard as it is many times, but I'm able to look at a situation that I am a part of and see what role I played in its success or failure. And my journey with self accountability began with, and here's the thing that that I said I'll touch on the surface of, but not, I'm not gonna go too deep in. But it began with religion. Okay, I was raised Christian, Pentecostal, Assemblies of God. My mom and my dad are very, very, I'll say they're very firm in the faith of Christianity, and that was my upbringing. And with my situation of having gotten sick, I hope this doesn't get old, but I mean, me getting Steven Johnson changed my life. It literally was that pathway to what I am today. So it is something that is going to come up a lot when I talk about certain experiences, and especially concepts that I might have started experiencing from a young age. My voice is hoarse. Oh my God. I'm gonna have a cup of tea, a sip of tea. I should actually get water for this. But anyways, yeah. So my Stephen Johnson syndrome, or I usually say when I got sick, is a big part of my life, and I don't mean to be apologetic about it, but I do understand how it might be perceived as, a crutch, or really is that all you have to offer. But it's a huge part of my journeys, of my learning, and of who I am, as I said before. So upon losing my eyesight, and this is so adorable, I, as I believe any Christian would, had very, very, very strong faith that God would heal me. I'd been to lots of prayer meetings. My parents had taken me. I'd been to lots of crusades, miracle crusades. I'd personally fasted. I mean, I was in. And I say was because, yeah, I wouldn't consider myself hyper religious at this stage, at all. But I was in the faith. I had very solid and very strong conviction that God would heal me and that He would give me my eyesight back, right? And for as much praying as I did, and there is, what they say, you need to believe. Your faith needs to be so strong, that you could potentially move mountains. If you believe, you cannot have a shred of doubt, because that little bit of doubt is what might be your downfall. And I believed. I tell you, I had zero doubt that I would gain my eyesight back. I really did have zero doubt on that, but I never did. And that's not where my quarrels began, but it kind of, as I grew up into my teens, and into my 20s, early 20s, I noticed that still for my father, even now, sometimes I think he still has hope that I might see 100% again. I don't care to. It's not something that I care for at this stage in my life. But I know that it's something that my dad still prays for. And so why I bring up the religion thing is because as I grew up and I started having to be more responsible for my time, I started to have to be more responsible for my productivity, right? Talking about university, having to do my thesis on time, and starting to prepare for my honors thesis on time and putting in the work, I realized that, I really am very much responsible for my time. I never understood that. You'd think it's something that people should know, but I think more of us take a while to understand how much of ourselves we are responsible for than we care to admit, we always rely on I don't know what, but I just know that I didn't understand how my time depended on me. My time management was dependent on me. It wasn't like high school or primary school where they had the timetable set out for you, and being in boarding school even worse, right? You had classes at a specific time, you had lunch at a time, you had your activities, like your life was designed for you and or scheduled for you. But doing varsity, you had to manage that. Whether you attended class or not, that was not up, nobody cared. They gave you your assignments in the beginning of the semester, in the beginning of the term, and they gave you your deadline. And it was just up to you to make sure that you hand everything over on time and that you do your best at that, So I started understanding what responsibilities I had over my life. And I started realizing what my crutches were. on the things that were my shortfalls that I was falling flat on, I'd rely a lot on prayer. I'd rely a lot on prayer. I would pray for strength to stay up to study. I'd pray for the strength to retain information. I'd pray for the strength to, or for the intelligence to go through my exam with wisdom. And I'd pray for everything. I'd pray for protection on my way to school. I'd pray for, whatever it was, that's what I did. I relied on prayer to draw for strength. I'd say to draw strength, yes, but looking from the outside inwards, I think it was more for the sake of, it's not my responsibility anymore, right? It's up to God to do his thing and make me good, make me better, make me work, make me okay, make me study, make me, it was up to God to send his angels to give me the strength to do this. It removed that responsibility from myself to take the time and schedule my days and say that, hey, this time you got to study, this time you got to do this time you got to do that, because I relied on the fact that God would come through for me. So that's where I would say I started becoming a bit aware of my crutch. And as I grew further, I grew on, I'd say, we're talking 20, 21, 22. This is when I started realizing that there's something off here, there's something off, because with the same energy that you'd pray for something good to happen, when something bad happened, you would blame Satan now, right? So if I failed my exam, oh my God, the devil distracted me with alcohol, or the devil sent his evils, whatever it was, right? So that removes me from being responsible for my time again, right? It's still very surface level, but it really is kind of that's where this whole thing started snowballing for me, because now I had someone to blame when things went wrong, and I had someone to thank when things went right. So I would say 2016, this is the year after I got married, mid-20s. I started to struggle. I struggled because I had a vision, I had a plan, I had an image of what my life was going to be. I had very, very clear concepts and understanding of where I was supposed to be at what stage of my life. And for the most part, it didn't work out the way that I thought. But up to that point, up to 2015, everything was fine. I had, at some point along the way, I'd caught up. I had graduated, I got my honors degree, I had the man, I had the son. Even though I had the kid before I got the degree, the order of the thing was messed up. But if I were to seal 2015, it gave me that. I was starting, and I had started an internship at a university in Mozambique, teaching singing, jazz and popular singing lessons to my students. I was running my dad's company at the time. So career-wise, I was organized. Relationship-wise, I was on point. It was the year that I was getting married. My son was healthy. He was grown. I had it. But funny enough, 2016 was the year that I had to now move from Mozambique to South Africa, and my life changed for the fact that there's a lot of factors, right? I'm Mozambican in a foreign country. I've got a visual impairment. People are very skeptical to hire people with visual impairments. And as a foreigner, you don't have as many opportunities in this country. even with a degree, people were so very skeptical about it. You do a learnership here, but it was just so discouraging because it's like, why the fuck am I doing a learnership? Come on. I mean, it's freaking office or what was it? Management. And I mean, I'm very grateful for a friend who he really went out of his way to get me in. And I guess it sounds very ungrateful from my side to spit on this, but it got to a point where, and it's not him at all, it's the system where it, you know what, I'll go on this tangent another day. But I didn't have my career. My friend and I tried a business. We failed. We lost money. We didn't know what we were doing. And it just didn't work out. And 2016 was just deep for me in terms of, I'd say that's when I started my, look, I'm not diagnosed with depression or anything, but I know that that's where my pit got deeper. And I started struggling with faith because I was trying to understand, why am I in this situation? Why is my life like this? And one thing that I've never entertained is negativity from other people. I never entertained the concept of jealousy, that if they're jealous, they're haters. You know how everyone's like, haters, haters. I don't entertain that because I cannot give people power over myself. No, I refuse to do that. I refuse to focus on people who are hateful, who don't wish me well, and give my energy to them by saying my shit is not working out because they're hating on me, or focus so hard on. I refuse to do that. I refuse to give anyone that much power over my destiny. And that's where it started, when I started thinking that way, where people started pointing out to witchcraft for my eyesight. And I was like, bullshit. Shit happened, right? But people always, because, yeah, I kept meeting strangers, right? When I say people, I'm literally talking random people who meet me. What happened? And I'd explain, no, it was witchcraft. God can heal you, this and that, this and that. So everyone blamed something. No one could just accept the fact that this was an accident and this is just what happened to me. It had to be someone's fault. And I was like, something is wrong here, right? Because I never blamed anyone for this. I've never felt nothing. I mean, it was an accident. That's what it was, right? But everyone around me keeps saying it's not. And I'm like, how can people be so convinced over something that I'm so convinced of? I'm convinced that this is nobody's fault, but people are so convinced that it's someone else to blame. And that's when I started putting my dots together, right? That no, what my issue is with religion is that there's always someone to blame. Satan, witchcraft, generational curses, generational sacrifices, and as Africans, we have all other crazy stuff going on, ancestral callings and all. And I'm not saying any of this is bullshit. I don't know, but it's just not things that I understand or dwell in. But I'm like, how can someone who I have zero connection with have that much impact on my life? And I don't believe so. I don't believe that to be true. And that's how I started thinking that I cannot blame my shortfallings on other people. I have to take responsibility. At some point, I need to look at the fact that I need to recognize the fact that the reason why I'm still not as good as I should be in playing guitar right now is because I don't fucking practice. Literally, that is why. And the reason I don't practice is because I'm too lazy to pick up my guitar and practice. It's not because somebody is thrown some, what do you call it, curse or whatever that is making me incapable of, no, I'm not doing what I need to do to be good at that instrument. And that's at a small scale. But if you look at things in your life as to why are your friendships fucking up all the time, I had to do that introspection. I have a very good friend, a dear friend to me, and we have a very rocky relationship. We've fought a lot. We've done so much hurtful things to one another. And I could easily point a finger at her and send majority of the blame towards her. But I had to stop and say, it takes two to tango. Why are we fighting? What am I doing to contribute to this bullshit? And as soon as I started seeing my role in it, as soon as I started seeing that I'm becoming bitter, I'm becoming malicious, I'm becoming a bitch, right? I had to check myself and recognize that I play a huge role in the dynamic of this relationship. I never felt the need to admit this. But I think that I've had this conversation with her. If we haven't, we will definitely someday. But I felt the need to check myself and say, this is why this relationship is so fucked up. And check myself and change that behavior and not engage. If I felt provoked, if I felt angry, I wouldn't engage on purpose because I knew that when I come back, I tend to be malicious. I hurt people. I want to hurt you more than what you hurt me because that's just how I am. It's not a good thing. That's just how I react. So I had to check myself and see that no, sometimes the person is not being as hurtful as I'm taking it, but my reaction is 20 times more than what they deserved. Therefore, I need to check my attitude, and our relationship improved. From that, I know it because I actively did my part. I don't engage when I feel offended. I don't engage when the things that used to trigger me, I deal with it in a different way. I don't engage the person. I had to check myself with my work. I started my company, Neon Bloom, in 2017, and I couldn't understand why isn't it progressing? Why isn't it moving? It's because I wasn't doing the work compared to now. And even now, I can say that I could have had a good 50 episodes by now. But because my consistency was just down to the shit, right? That's why I'm still at episode 22. But I was able to recognize that the progress of my podcast, right, is delayed because of my lack of consistency. Okay, so I had to start doing those checks. And as soon as I started understanding that my actions really play a role in my self-progress, I really understood why I was stuck in the places that I was stuck at, why I was hurt with the things that I used to be hurt by, why things were not moving when I wanted them to move. No matter how hard I planned, bottom line is I wasn't doing my part. I was not being helpful in situations. And many times I had to be very honest with myself. And I say this twice because it is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, to find a point where I struck my own chord. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Like that is real. I need to change this behavior. For example, this thing that I was saying, where when someone says something hurtful to me or does something that I find hurtful, I lash back with something that's worse. I had to check myself and be like, that is not the way to react, right? If you're not going to have a civil conversation, rather disengage. I prefer to even ignore the person completely for as long as I need to, for me to just be in my feelings, but avoid it because I know that if I say something, I'm going to hurt feelings. I had incidents this week where people are on my case about having kids. And I'm very annoyed by this. Also, I'm going to say this off topic, on topic. Mind your business. Don't be telling people to have babies. Don't ask people why they're not married. Don't ask people about their, but it's so offensive. I hate it, And A lot of people find this funny in my circle that I don't want to have kids and that I'm so passionate about it. There's some people that don't take me seriously about it. And somebody made a comment, and I almost responded with something very hurtful. And I had to stop myself. I had to stop myself because my words would damage this relationship, and I'm not looking to do that, even though I'm hurt by what they're doing. But I would make it worse by doing the things that I'll do. So I had to be honest with the fact that I am capable of malice. I'm capable of hurting feelings. I'm capable of hurting someone and destroy. I can break a soul, and I'm not saying that proudly. And that's why I don't do it as often, because I know sometimes my words are very harsh and I can hurt feelings. And when I had to be honest with myself about that, it was very hard, because that's a flaw within myself that I wasn't willing to admit to, I guess, at the time. But I did. And I know that about myself. Now I can actively work on it. And that has shown a lot of improvement in how I interact with people, right? There's also the aspect of making sure that I'm consistent with things that I do, with work, with working out, with, even if it's homeschooling or cooking or whatever. And that I struggle with that. I had to acknowledge that I have a problem with consistency. I'm not a consistent person, I might be very committed, but consistency is a very big struggle for me. Doesn't mean I'm not necessarily a hard worker, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But these realizations that my failures are my responsibility help me to be at a place where I can say that where I was in the beginning of 2021 to where I am today are completely different people. I'm so much better, as a person. I've learned so much. I still cry a lot. I still go through my feelings. I still go through a lot of crap, but my progress is worth something, right? And that's my second side of it. Why also I started having issues with religion is because if something goes wrong, it's either Satan's fault, but if something goes right, then you have to praise God. Where is my merit, my hard work? And I know this might be very controversial for those who are believers. But for me, I needed to be fully responsible for myself. Fully responsible for myself, for my actions, which meant that if I fucked up, it's because I fucked up. But if I did good, it's because I worked hard. It's because I put in the time. I put in the work. I put in the research. I put in the hours. Do you understand? I like to know that it's now past 1 a.m. and I'm here. I need to merit somehow. I need to credit myself somewhere because I put in this work. Do you understand? So I feel like I need to take accountability for my positives as well. I need to take, and this is also hard. Sometimes we think that just because things are good, we tend to do them easier. We are very hard in complimenting ourselves. I've never let me not lie, actually. I have many times. I'm like, girl, shit. I compliment myself quite often, but not as often as I should, because I'm constantly beating myself up, for example, with the type of mom I am. I'm not praising myself enough for how amazing my son is and for the role that I played. He's not amazing just because he's an amazing person. I have to have done something right for him to be the good kid that he is, for him to have the heart that he has. He must have gotten that from somewhere. And I believe that a part of that is me. And I need to be kinder to myself and credit myself for the good work that I'm doing. I fuck up a lot with my kid. I know that. But I know that I do a lot of good as well. I need to be kinder to myself in terms of how well I am doing with. Excuse me. Oh, girl, beeped. I beep. Ew. It doesn't smell nice. but I need to be kinder with myself in terms of how far I've come with Neon Bloom this year alone. I thought 3 years ago I wouldn't be behind a microphone, knowing how to edit audio, knowing how to work my software, knowing how to work with the equipment that I'm working now. This used to be so intimidating. It used to be so scary. You have no idea. I'd look at a mix and be like, what the fuck are those buttons? And once I got it, it's like, oh, it's the same thing 8 times, 24 times. Practically. I know it's not that basic, but I learned this. I learned this because I asked my friends. I called my friends who work with sound, and I asked them the questions. They helped me because I asked them the questions. Do you understand? So I'm not removing their part in this, but they have a part in this journey because I sought them out. They didn't come to me and say, hey, Fernanndo, let me teach you sound. I said, hey, friend, I want to learn this thing. What do you think I should do? And by me showing initiative, whenever they would think of something that is beneficial to me, they'll always send it through because I showed them that I'm serious about this. And when I have doubts, when I have questions, when I'm stuck, I call them and they help me. But who is picking up the phone? I am. So I have to take some fucking credit. So that's where accountability has helped me. It's boosted my self-confidence, even my self-image, because it made me human again. I look at myself and I see a human being that has flaws, that has gifts, that has potential, that has misery, that has joy. I'm a mess, as much of a mess as the next person is. But I'm worth it because I'm putting in the time for myself. But at the same time, when I fuck up for myself. Look, I was lifting weights. I was nice and huge last year. I had some good muscles. I stopped working out, then I lost it. I can't blame anything or anyone other than myself for stopping that progress. But I picked myself back up, and I tell you, I come from not being able to do one single push-up in the beginning of this year. I couldn't do no, not beginning of this year. In November this time last year, I couldn't do one push-up. I started push-ups on my knees. Yes, this will be a year. And I tell you, I can fucking do clapping push-ups. I can do a push-up, clap, push-up, clap. 1 or 2. I can do that. I put in that fucking work. I never thought that I'd be this strong physically. But I am. My body is stronger than I ever thought it could ever be. And I did that. And my point with this is I need us to get to a point where we understand our responsibility. And having touched on religion, I'm not saying that it's wrong or right. Do what is best for you, but take accountability for your part in your life. Any trajectory that you take in your life, in your relationships, take accountability for the state of your relationship. What is your role in that mess? What is your role in that success? In a marriage, when things are going to the dogs, what did you do to contribute to that? When things are going well, what did you do to contribute to that? Because once you understand, you know what you need to improve on. Okay? Once you understand, you know what to stop doing. Once you understand, you know what you need to do more of. And that's where the mastery comes in, the mastery of self. Because the more accountable you are for yourself, for your actions, for your choices, the more you understand your personality and you're able to step back and look and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm overreacting here. I need to cool down. because I'm about to burn some bridges right here. A lot of us burn bridges out of pride. We burn very important bridges out of pride. And when the time comes, you do not take the responsibility. You refuse to take the responsibility. And that leads to loneliness. That leads to isolation. Because when people become more self-aware, they start seeing how self-deprived you are. You're depriving yourself of your true potential. You're depriving yourself of yourself because you choose to hide behind something that you are not. You don't take responsibility for your behaviors. You don't take responsibility for your choices. You hide behind the fact that whatever is going on with you is someone else's fault. And that is a problem. People who are self-aware, who are self-reliant, who are auto-aware, do not enjoy being around people who are self-deprived. So think about that. And I honestly do believe that mastering self-discipline, mastering self-awareness, mastering self-accountability leads to so much progress. It leads to so much better relationships. It leads to such a deep understanding of oneself that you can even tell when you're off balance. You can tell. I even tell my friend a lot. I'm like, friend, man, I'm off. Something is off because I know that I'm not at my best. Something is holding me. And sometimes when I say something is holding me, it could be laziness. It could be moodiness or something. But I know that I'm relying on something and I'm not taking responsibility for something and I'm sitting on this thing. Something is off here. I'm letting myself go. I'm allowing myself to let go of my responsibility for myself, right? When I say something is wrong here, I'm blaming something else. But no, friend, it's you, my love. It's you. It's you hiding behind the fact that you feel inadequate. You feel scared. You feel incapable of achieving or doing what you set out to do. Even a simple daily task is very daunting sometimes. Trust me, I know. Many times I feel like I want to get up and I'm going to clean and I'm going to do this. And I get up and I look at my house and I'm like, in fact, this bitch, I am not touching a broom today. But later that day, I feel like shit. And then what is my excuse? I'm just off. I'm not okay, right? That's me shifting the blame from myself. I chose not to. So don't let your fears stand in the way of your success. Don't let your struggle stand in the way of your abilities, okay? You can do this. You just have to realize that you have the power. And once you realize this, that you have the power to decide how your life will work out, at least 90% of it is in your control. At least 90% of your life is in your control, depending on how much external interaction you have, right? What you eat, who you talk to, who you let in your circle, who you marry, who you date, where you go out, where you drive, what you wear, how you look like, how you present yourself, how you talk, what you read, what you watch. That is fully in your control. And that's most of your life. Do you work out? Do you not work out? That's yours to decide. And that's an amazing power to understand. That's an amazing power to understand. So, my friend, this is what I have for you today. I want you to be able to understand that you are more than what you let yourself to be. And some truths are very hard to accept, especially when we are dealing with failures, when we are dealing with the negative, when we are looking at ourselves and we are dealing with what we are doing wrong. Ooh, those are hard. Those are very hard to accept. Very hard. Painful. Because that can lead to you self-deprecating yourself. You can sit there and tell yourself all sorts of shit. You can call yourself all sorts of names. If I tell you what I've called myself, girl, tell you now. You don't believe it. But I do it at least once a month. I sit here and I cry like a baby. But then I have to pick myself up. I have to pick myself up because if I don't, no one will. I'm accountable for this woman that is me. I'm accountable for the person that I want to be. I'm accountable for who I used to be. I'm not the same person I was last year, and I can say that with so much conviction. I'm a lot more aware, and that's been very important for me, you know. But yeah, I think I wrote something down, you know that. Let me see. I wrote something down earlier on. I was talking to my husband and we were talking just about how some people have this perception of themselves and they truly believe that, you know. And they think that we buy it. And it's so weird because you can see through someone so easily if you want to. People can see through you if they want to. It's just up to how you choose to present yourself, you know. And if you bullshitting, trust me, somebody's going to sniff it. But that's not going into a whole other conversation. But yeah, I think I'm going to close it off here. What I'd written down is basically be honest with yourself. Be honest about your weaknesses. Be honest about your strengths. I want to leave you guys with a quote that I got from Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory. And he said this. Okay. It says, my life is the exact reflection of the choices I've made. I think I might have paraphrased this, but this is from Tom Bilyeu. So remember that. Your life is an exact reflection of the choices that you've made. And it's a very scary truth, but it's true. So remember that, my friend. And I want you to know that I understand that this is not an easy journey, but we can do this. You know, we just have to be open and fair to ourselves. But be fair, right? Be honest. You're not better than anyone. The fuck you think you are? Shit. No, bruh. Look inwards. Look into yourself and hold yourself accountable. Stop blaming people for your shortfalls, for your success. Stop blaming people. Take responsibility. Whatever is happening to you is nobody else's fault it's nobody else's responsibility at this point. You might be in a position because somebody put you there, but from that moment on, you're accountable for what you're going to do next. All right. So, yeah, like I said, that's it for today. I got some good news. I've decided to actually upload the podcasts on Neon Bloom Production's YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel. So I started uploading from episode 20. We've got episode 21 that we did with Uncle Tanik last week. Deep dive into Screwfield. So head over there. Neon Bloom Productions on YouTube. And I still have to decide how many more of these I'm going to do this year, because also there's a lot of changes that's going to happen right now for the next few months. I'm going to be making a few changes with the brand. It's still going to be Neon Bloom, but just with our podcast, the network. That's what I'm trying to say. There's going to be some changes or some adjustments that I'll be working on. And so I might not have time to actually do the show and all that, but I'll see. I'll do as much as I can. my best. Hopefully I can put out some content and lay some stuff down that can go out throughout the holiday season. But if not, I might just take a good month's hiatus and come back next year with some amazing stuff. But I still want to give you some shows. So we still have November and some of December. And I'll let you all know ahead of time what I'm going to do. But yes, thank you anyways for tuning in. This is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for being here with me. I really do appreciate it. Go to www.neonbloom.co.za, www.neonbloom.co.za, and you can find all the podcasts in the network: Black Woman Business, the Boudoir Wrap Up, Growed Up. It's all there, or you can just search for any of these podcasts wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. We're just everywhere right now, including YouTube. So yeah, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you, and I will see you all next week.